Austin Myers and Timothy Mosley. Sometimes friends can hurt you more than strangers, which was true for Justin Back, an 18-year-old who was murdered in Warren County, Ohio, by Myers and Mosley. Back and Myers have been friends since childhood and even attended the same middle school. Back graduated from Waynesville High School in 2013 and was planning on serving his country by joining the Navy, but such plans were cut short. It was unclear what Myers needed money for, but he convinced Mosley to rob a safe in Back's family. Unknown to Myers, the safe contains only $70. Myers and Mosley started preparing for the theft, and Myers suggested that they should kill Back. Myers bought a steel cable he intended to use as a garrote or choke wire.
The idea of strangling them, that way it would create no mess, pretty much be an easier job to handle. Obviously, Justin was trying to put up a fight, and he wasn't overpowering us.
He also purchased septic chemicals he believed would help decompose the body. The plan was to steal the safe, kidnap Back, kill him, and remove all traces of them so that it would seem like he stole the safe and ran away from home. On January 28, 2014, D-Day, both criminals went to Back's house, knocked, and were let in by Back. They waited for Back to get distracted, and they attacked. Their plan to strangle him didn't go to plan, and a struggle ensued. Amidst the chaos, Mosley stabbed Back from behind, giving an advantage to Myers, who then finished Back off. The 18-year-old Back was stabbed by his friend and his accomplice 21 times. With Back out of the way, they took the safe, ransacked the house, and fled. Investigations followed, and before long, they were nabbed by the police. Mosley entered a plea bargain with the police and in exchange was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole, while Myers was sentenced to death. At 19, Myers is the youngest person sentenced to death in Ohio. Mikel Brady. Perhaps he watched too many episodes of Prison Break and imagined himself as Michael Scofield, or he thought he was invincible.
Mikel Brady beat that man, George Midget, like he was trying to bust concrete.
Whatever the case, Mikel Brady thought he could escape from the Pasquotank Correctional Institution in Elizabeth City. Brandy was in the Pasquotank Correctional Institution for shooting Michael Potts, a North Carolina highway patrolman. Brady shot Potts when he pulled him over for a seatbelt violation. Although the officer was shot 4 times, he survived the shooting, and Bradley was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Before 2010, he was involved in several criminal offenses, charged with nearly 30 crimes, and sent to prison. In 2012, he was released for good behavior, having served less than half his sentence. However, the good behavior didn't last long, as he was sent back to prison in 2017 for shooting Officer Potts. In prison, Bradley worked in the sewing plant. He planned to escape the facility with 3 other inmates, Wiza Buckman, Jonathan Monk, and Seth Frazier. In their attempt to escape, Bradley and his gang used a hammer and sharp objects to brutally kill 2 correctional officers. However, their escape plan didn't work, as they were arrested at gunpoint outside the prison fence. During his trial, he showed no remorse.
To tell the truth, you can ask me anything you want, I'm gonna tell the truth. Whether it hurts me, whether it helps me, I don't care about that.
He testified how he gathered resources from his sewing facility to use for the escape. Brady saw the correctional staff as obstacles to his goal of being free. The jury returned a death sentence for him. Yet, even as he had his penalty, he remained stoic and emotionless. Nikko Jenkins. Maybe the old gods are alive and well, or that's what Jenkins will have you believe. Jenkins was born in 1986, and before he was 8, he already had a criminal record when he was charged with bringing a gun into a school. At 15, Jenkins stole a car and was sentenced to 18 years. Jenkins served nearly 11 of the 18 years before he was released, but no sooner was he released than he went on a killing spree. Jenkins killed 4 people in a murder spree that lasted less than a month. His first 2 victims, Jorge Cajiga Ruiz and Juan Uribe Peña, were lured into 2 women for a fling. There, he shot them in the head and emptied their pockets. Less than 10 days later, he claimed his 3rd victim, Curtis Bradford, who he had met in prison. Jenkins shot him twice in the back. Jenkins' 4th victim was Andrea Kruger, who he shot multiple times in the neck, face, and shoulder, less than a week after his 3rd murder. Initially, Jenkins was arrested on a different charge. However, the evidence against him increased after investigations.
Do you not realize I got Nikko Jenkins? Do you not realize it? I got Nikko Jenkins. I got you. I got your DNA in the murder scene. I got your DNA in the car.
Sir.
I got the weapon. I got Nikko Jenkins.
Jenkins confessed to all 4 homicides and told the police that the homicides were sacrifices to Apophis, the ancient Egyptian serpentine god. His statements led to claims about his sanity and competency to stand trial. Nevertheless, after a psychological evaluation, it was discovered that he was faking psychotic symptoms and only had an antisocial personality disorder. Jenkins was dramatic during the trial, howling, laughing, and often speaking in tongues. He also insisted that he was carrying out the instructions of Apophis.
Therefore, this panel finds that the death penalty is appropriate, should be, and is hereby given for each of the 4 murders by the defendant.
Jenkins was unfazed as the judge gave his sentence. Martez Abram. The morning of July 30th, 2019 started like every normal day for employees at the South Haven, Mississippi Walmart. There were customers to attend to and products to pack. It's a challenging job, and it can be tense. Just the other day, a coworker threatened his colleague with a knife. The managers didn't approve of such behavior and suspended him. Abram took his suspension hard. He stated that he only took a day off in a month and loved his job. Abram came to the store 3 days after his suspension with a gun. He shot and killed Anthony Brown and Brandon Gales, 2 managers on duty. He also shot a police officer and attempted to set the store on fire. Luckily, the officer wore a bulletproof vest and only sustained injuries. Abram was later subdued and charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Before this shooting, Abram was a quiet, easygoing neighbor with no criminal record. During the trial, a clinical and forensic psychologist testified that Abram suffered from psychosis and major depressive disorder, but was fit to stand trial. Abram's sister was shocked by his behavior and apologized to the victims for his brother's crime. During the trial, Abram was shown footage of his crime. He became distressed and shaken up.
That's you, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
Look at it, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Gale is on the floor going down at this point, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay, and that's you shooting him, right?
Yes.
The relatives of his victims were more unnerved. Abram was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to death. He showed no reaction when the judge delivered his sentence. Markieth Loyd.
I'm facing a relationship, but somebody else I have absolutely don't know nothing about. And they frame me.
Loyd may have claimed to love Sade Dixon, his ex-girlfriend, but his actions showed otherwise. Dixon got pregnant by Loyd but had no intention of having the child and communicated so to Loyd. Loyd didn't approve of her decision, and in December 2016, he went to Dixon's house to talk her out of getting the abortion. According to Loyd, Dixon pulled a gun on him, and he took the gun away from her. The police confirmed that Loyd shot Dixon, killing her and the unborn child. The police began a search for him and broadcast his image everywhere. Thanks to the broadcast, a shopper recognized him at Walmart and promptly informed Police Lieutenant Clayton, who was getting a few things from the store. Clayton tried to confront Loyd outside the store, but Loyd shot her 4 times, killing her. The chase for him intensified, and he was captured in an abandoned house within days. Loyd tried to escape and lost an eye during a struggle with the police. There were questions about his mental health, but Loyd was deemed competent to stand trial.
Just reacting, Mary. I was just reacting. Even when they opened the door, I just reacted. I fired 2 shots, I just reacted.
The jury unanimously found him guilty and sentenced him to death. When he heard his sentence, Loyd had an outburst and claimed that he was framed and that they had been trying to kill him. During the hearing, Xavier Amador, a clinical psychologist, stated that Loyd believes that he is a slave and that the prosecutors and police officers are his enslavers who are hell-bent on killing him. The death of Police Lieutenant Clayton hit the Orlando Police Department very hard, with the Orlando Police Chief stating that nothing can undo the heartache the murder of the police officer caused them. Do you think the sentence handed to these convicts was extreme? Or do you think they got what they deserved? Let me know what you think in the comments section.